Drake just released his latest album, For All the Dogs, and the way I could describe it is a mixture of some of his older sounds mixed with some new trap sounds, and maybe even some questionable bars too. But in today's video, we're gonna be combining all the different sounds and making a few beats, showing you guys the production secrets behind this album. You can categorize this project into about 3 to 5 different sounds. I kind of combined different sounds, made it into 3 subgenres. We have the first subgenre, which is gonna be the R&B / more melodic stuff, kind of that Noah 40 sound. The second subgenre is going to be just trap, but that can be even broken down into more subgenres. So there's your dark trap, your more chill melodic trap, and there's even a couple rage songs like the song with Yeet. And then finally, there's a couple boom bap cuts in there, like 8 AM in Charlotte. And then the rest of the songs don't really have their own genre. They're kind of just random, so we're not going to cover those in today's video. Alright, so first beat is going to be that R&B sound, mainly basing it off of Members Only, but also a few other elements from other songs. And the first thing I started with was just these very simple melodic piano chords. And that's just going to repeat throughout the entire beat. I also layered that with Rhodes and a pad. Next thing I did was lay down this synth bass, just following the bass notes of the chords. And finally, I have this vocal from Splice. Now the melody's not done yet. There's a few effects I added to give it that underwater Noah 40 type of sound. So we have our completed loop here. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna right click this and then go to open an audio editor. That opens it in Edison. And then right here is gonna be your sample rate. You just wanna right click this and then turn this down roughly to about like 1 to 5,000. For this, I think I went about 2,000. Go to resample. Now we got this. The intro of the track, I got a simple just down sampled kick and snare. Now when it comes to these really like down sampled underwater sounding beats, the drums really pop on these, and so do Drake's vocals. So that's what we're gonna go for here. We just have a super simple kick, and then instead of a snare, I have a rim and a snap layered together. Just a little bit of a hard-hitting kick to balance out those very toned-down melodies. For the hats, I started with a very slow pattern, but I have a switch up in the second 8 bars. And if you notice here, the hats are just very slightly off beat. And the last thing I want to mention, which I'm sure you guys just saw in the patterns but I didn't talk about, these lower hats right here. This was something done on the song Members Only with Party Next Door. Right wherever the kicks hit, there's a lower hat layered with it. And I have those hats really off beat, so it gives it like this kind of flam type of sound. And then finally for the switch up section, I have this really distorted 808. Overall, this is how that first beat's gonna sound. On this album, there's also a lot of beat switches, so at the end of this track, I just laid down a simple boom bap beat, you know, whether it's for the fucking Adonis feature or whatever, we got some boom bap shit. And then with these Drake boom bap beats, the samples do all the work. So all I have here is just a kick and then 2 snares to fill in the bounce. And then for transition purposes, I have this scratch sound. So I'll play the scratch and the sample. I have Super VHS on the sample to give it a more vintage sound. And the drums really don't get any simpler than this. I just have the snares slightly off beat, just slightly off the grid, just to give it that more realistic feel. Altogether, this is the second beat. Next beat here is going to be mainly inspired by First Person Shooter, but all the other trap songs as well. Started with like the soul gospel sample like always. I liked it as is, but you could add like a sample chop like they did in the song. And then again, Drake beats, the drums are always super simple. So I only have 808 kick and snare and hats. That's literally it. Just a couple rolls in the hats. The pattern is pretty much just a two-step though. If you do want more sounds like that though, super quick plug for my upcoming Memphis kit. Subscribe to stay updated or follow me on Instagram. There's more about that soon. Let's get back into the video. Then later in the drums, I just have this distorted 808 that comes in and just follows the kick pattern. Now for the beat switch, we went for more of the dark trap sound mixed with a little bit of the rage trap sound. Production from, Benny X. I think there's a couple Take Keith beats on there, Southside, just some trap shit. Simply started with the bass note and the piano. I then layered it with the arcade strings just for some cinematic vibes. And then I was going to use this bell. I don't even think this made it into the final beat, but there's these chords laid down. But what I did with these chords is I put it into pigments, and then I laid down this super simple dark top melody, and then that sounds like this. And that's taking more inspiration from like the more rage type of sound. This is the final loop. Just super cinematic, basic, dark trap stuff. For the drums, you set the basic snare again. Hats are still relatively simple, but there's a few more rolls just because it's trap. A little bit of lower notes as well. Then for the 808, I got rid of the kick, but then just put a spins 808 and made it hit really hard, so we didn't need a kick. And overall, this is how the trap section sounds.